Hello and welcome to what is hopefully going to be the first of many review videos regarding everything to do with stop motion armatures and tutorials on how to make armatures either on budget or from kits that have actually been either sent through to me or I've actually gone out and bought myself off the internet. If you've not already guessed, I'm the creator of 3am Creations, Mike Tharm, and this is, as I say, one of hopefully the first of many videos that I will be doing a review for. And the first item I'm going to review today for you is the Armature FX Professional Rig, which you can acquire from the Animation Toolkit website at the price of £24.99. But overall first impressions, I would probably say that it's actually not too bad a size actually when you consider what it actually is supposed to do. If you're not familiar with what rigs are, which I'm sure a lot of you are, a rig is essentially a component which is made up of ball and socket armatures or wire, depending on the weight of the puppet, which allows the puppet to be suspended to implement flying or leaping from point A to point B in an actual walk. It can also help in actual walking cycles in themselves in keeping the puppet balanced if the puppet's weight is too much for it to be suspended on one leg. So yeah, this particular rig, as I say, from Animation Toolkit, has been designed that it can be that you can make your own rig at any point, basically. I mean, the set that you get here, you get a 10 centimeter, a 7.5, a 5 centimeter, a 2.5, and a 1 centimeter thread rod. You also get two double ball and socket joints and a single ball joint as well as the base in itself, which is a 10 centimeter by 8 centimeter base with a M3 nut, which has actually been welded onto the base, which saves you a lot of time in terms of having to mess around with fixing things in place. It also comes with an M3 wing nut as well, and a 2mm Allen key as well as the Loctite glue, which you would use to actually fuse the ball beads onto the thread rods as well. Let's see, what should I talk about first? Basically the performance of it. Well, the actual feel of when you're actually moving this, and this is set at its tightest setting as well. It's actually quite smooth. I was expecting this to be either really difficult to manoeuvre, or the rods would start bending in the middle, or even possibly even bend to the point where they're no longer straight anymore. But this is actually quite a really nice feel for it, especially for the sake of you basically spending £25 on this as well. It's a really good little buy actually. I'm really pleased that I managed to get this. Another noticeable point as well, which I don't know if you've not already seen, the 1 centimeter and the 2.5 centimeter thread rods that you acquire are interchangeable, or you can actually lock these in place with the Loctite. And if you're not really sure why, which I wasn't when I first bought this, was that the idea is that depending on the puppet that you have, depends on which one of these two you would require. For example, if you've got a armature that is either deep into the puppet, or you need the rigging point as far away as possible from the initial single joint, you would use the longer version. However, if you've got an armature that's quite exposed, for example, if you're doing, say, argument's sake, a robotic character or just the ball and socket armature animation on its own, you can actually use this, the single point. Which for me is an interesting point, especially in the sense that because they're all thread locks as well, you can actually attach an even longer arm onto it. I mean, the fact that you can customize this to whatever your specific needs is absolutely fantastic. I was under the impression when I first heard about these rigs that you would have to buy the rig as it is, and you would have to then buy different rigs for different sizes. But the fact that you can actually buy the individual components full stop and make whatever you desire out of these things is absolutely fantastic. The only few noticeable things I can actually excuse me, say about this is that when I got this, it didn't actually come with instructions, so I did have to go online to actually watch the instructions video that's actually on the main page on the site, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's quite simple armature to play around with. It's not like we're talking about a full scale puppet that you need to know exactly what all the different rods are for, and the idea that is that you can build your own in whatever shape or form is at user's discretion. Also, the fact that I've noticed that the animator Tim Allen has reviewed this item on the site as well, which is quite a big thing as far as I'm aware. If you're not familiar with Tim Allen's work, he's worked on quite a few commercials, TV shows and feature films over the years. Probably the three ones that are probably going to stand out for a lot of you is The Corpse Bride, Fantastic Mr. Fox and the recent Frankenweenie. So the fact that you're getting someone that's quite highly renowned in the industry in terms of animation is given his blessings on this is probably one of the biggest things you could ever come across. The fact he's also commented saying that he actually owns this, he's used it, it's got him quite out of a few jams in the past as well. I would definitely say that if he's reviewing this and saying it's good, then it's definitely, for value for money, it is definitely something you should have in your kit. Right, now for some people would probably want to know how far this can actually stretch. I mean, it's all right saying that it can, as it is now, is quite compact, but the overall height of it is 100 centimetres due to the 100 millimetres or 10 centimetres tall, but the actual reach of it comes to about 15 centimetres. Now, I'm only going to measure up to the single pivot because depending on the user, you may want a shorter or longer arm. But, and just to prove this, with my old Jobs tape measure, you are looking at about bang on 15 centimetres or 6 inches. So you get quite a nice little stretch with that, and depending on the weight of your puppet will depend on whether it will be able to hold this or not, which I should imagine, if it's quite stiff as it is and quite taut, then it should easily be able to hold something of a reasonable size puppet on there. Another key feature which I should probably mention as well is the fact that because the base is steel, you can actually tie this down not only with the G-clamps if it's on the edge of a set, but also with strong magnets. So if you have rare earth magnets, they should be strong enough to come through the floor of the set and hold this down if you need it stationary. If you need it freestanding, where your rig will actually be able to move across the set quite freely, again, depending on the weight of your puppet, should be able to keep that in place at all times, which is another good feature as well. And I think that's about it for this review. It's not really something that you can go into great detail over. It's a rig, it does what it's designed to do, and there's not really that much complicated about it at all. If there is anything that I have forgotten to mention, I will probably put little comments on the actual video itself as they go along. Hopefully I'm talking long enough that they can be on there for people to read without actually pausing the video. So yeah, last two things then is it worth the cost, and do you really need it? Well, personally, I would say for £25, it is definitely cheap. It's definitely worth the money. The materials that are used are of industry standard. So the fact that this has been designed by somebody that knows a lot about ball and socket, I would probably say that for the money that's gone into it, it's definitely worth it. And is it needed for a kit? I would definitely recommend this as, or not this, just even this particular product. I would recommend a rig in every animation. Rigs are, from what I've learned now, probably one of the most key features of a puppet now. I used to believe when I was in university that you just build the puppet and go away with it. Now, after doing the most recent puppet test that I did on my Harryhausen puppet, it hasn't got any rigging points in it, and trying to make the character walk is probably the most difficult thing without a rig. So I would definitely recommend this for everyone's kit. And like I say, for £25, I can't even reiterate enough how cheap this is as well. For £25 is absolutely nothing. So I would definitely recommend this for someone that's either an amateur and wanting to get into stop motion, and even on the professional sense as well. So yes, I shall leave it there. So yes, thank you for watching, and sorry this is my first video as well, so if there's anything that you would like to comment on how to improve the video, or how to suggest on what things I need to talk about or anything like that, then yeah, feel free to leave comments and share with your friends, and hopefully this has helped you understand the rig a little bit better, as well as potentially clearing some issues that you may feel about, is this something I would want to buy. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and I shall speak to you guys soon.